Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 42 of the HaskinCast Podcast. I think it's 42. Anyway, I'll double check that. But I'm not going to do my regular opening this time. I'm just going to get right into the episode because I'm kind of fired up. And my second returning guest on the show, Sara Clancy, is back. And we're going to talk about what happened as a result of the appearance that she made a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. It started while I was actually recording last week's guest. A couple of emails came in from Instagram after I had posted Sarah's picture promoting her episode of the podcast on Instagram. And then I started getting hit on by guys because they thought I was her. And we look nothing alike. I mean, I know that no one's ever seen us together, but we're really two different people.
We really are.
We really are. And so I was a little perplexed. And I sent the first one over to Sara. Now, this guy, I believe, the first one was in Southern California, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep.
And, he's all, I think that you're graceful. And I'm like, I don't know how you can tell that with a non-moving picture.
I don't know.
I mean, elegant. Yeah.
But he nailed it, obviously.
Well, I get clearly. Clearly. First of all, welcome to the show, Sara. Thanks for coming back and putting your life at risk again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, so after this guy realized, I finally, because I kind of was like, I want to see where this is going. And he's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Knowing where he was probably headed. And then he was like, I think you're beautiful. I'm like, I think you should read the picture description. And then he's like, well, send me a picture. And I'm like, what do you need a picture for? Then he sent me a picture of himself.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that.
Because I'm all excited, right? I mean, I'm clearly interested by my messages. And he's like, send me a picture of you. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I look like. And then I said, I'm a guy. And then he immediately blocked me and reached out to Sara directly because she was tagged in the photo, of course. And then what happened?
So I said, are you trying to get a hold of me through, because of the podcast? And he goes, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just some random person that found you on Instagram. I go, obviously this guy's lying, I mean, this is very strange. And so he small talk back and forth. He asked me if I was single. And, I said, I am, but I'm not, I have a boyfriend. I'm not married, but I have a boyfriend. It probably wouldn't be too excited that he was trying to do this.
Right.
And, so he kind of stopped and backed away. But then I had a couple of others. Since then, I had 2 marriage proposals.
Oh, 2?
And I did, yes. I had 2 different guys asked, I really want you to be my wife. And I was like, fantastic. You should probably maybe date somebody first before you ask them out.
Yeah. Did they offer a dowry? Like, how many donkeys are they trading for your eternal love?
Water buffalo.
Water buffalo.
Yep.
Well, that's sizable, and I've heard they're tasty.
Yeah. So why not? I was like, enter in 2 more chickens, and I'm sold, man.
Well, yeah, you got to have the dairy side of it too. It can't just be red meat.
I got to have chicken. Yeah.
So like an hour after this guy blocked me, the first guy from Southern California, I get hit on by a guy from India who wants to go out on a date.
I don't see how that geographically could work.
Yeah. I mean, what is that? Like a 16-hour flight?
For a steak? I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah, but well, I guess it's a religious thing, but you can't have red meat or you can't have cow. I'm not sure which it is. I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, no, they're sacred. So yeah, we're not eating steak. We're eating rice, and that's not something I'm willing to fly out for.
And that really limits our options of enjoying dinner.
Yeah,
it's right there. But I don't understand the mentality behind all of this. So you're on the other side of the world. You saw a picture. You're reaching out to me. You don't even tell me anything about yourself that I would even slightly get interested in. And you want me to go out with you, and you're on the other side of the globe.
Right.
What
and
am I
also,
missing?
if you do your homework and do your research a little bit, you'll know that this is a woman on a man's professional website podcast.
That's the other thing I don't get. So if you find my page through, maybe it's like a hashtag or maybe I don't know how they might find it, but usually hashtags are the way. And I'm big on those on Instagram. So if they find me through a hashtag and then they come across your picture, if they thought you were interesting to look at or exciting or sexy or whatever, wouldn't you want to look at other pictures and see what other pictures you've taken? And if you had, then you would see that I have a ton of other people.
Right.
And you would go, well, wait a minute, whose page is this? And kind of realize, where it says the name Scott.
Right.
I'm not following the logic behind the path that they took unless they just looked at that picture and went, oh my God, I have to drop everything I'm doing and write this person before somebody else gets her.
Like it's a contest. It's war.
It is. Yeah. It's whoever puts their quarter in the gumball machine first gets the gumball.
Gets it.
Right.
Yeah. It was very odd to me. And I was just like, I wonder if this happens to a lot of women out there that are on promotional videos or podcasts or anything like that. And then it's just instant stalker, and it's like, wait, what is happening? I mean, in this day and age where we put ourselves out there on the internet and then it's instant, it's just instant media attention. And it's like, okay, hold on.
Yeah. Well, and so I think on that day, I had posted your picture on the Saturday, the week that your episode came out. And I'm trying to find when is the best time? When are people more attentive? So it's all experimental. So I post at different times. And it happened to be on Saturday. And then within like an hour, I got that first email. And then it was like an hour later, the second guy came along. And then, so this week I posted my guest from the previous week. I posted her picture last night, which was Friday night when we're recording this. And within 3 seconds, it had 5 likes and they were all guys.
Yep.
And I'm like, obviously you didn't have time to listen to our hour and 8-minute episode.
Correct.
But I just don't understand the mentality behind it. And I get it. Like if you like the picture, if you're like, oh, this is a nice picture of a person and you click like, fine. But if you found it through a hashtag, because these were all people I did not know, people that are not currently following me, they must have found me through some hashtag or something in the post. So wouldn't you dig a little deeper and go, oh, this person is not this page or they're a guest on a show or whatever? Like, I don't understand the immediate, let's click this and find out what happens. Maybe she'll write me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then you also had some other weird website that asked to follow you.
Oh, yeah. It was some like a dating website or something followed me off of your picture. They liked your picture and then they followed me.
It was like baby cakes or something.
Yeah.
It was not legit, It was like, wow, this looks real and not super shady.
Yeah. I feel perfectly like this isn't a rickety van I'm getting to,
Like, can you hop in the van? Your parents called me.
Yeah. I mean, the ice cream.
Okay, great.
The ice cream's melting. Get in here.
Get in quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, do girls do this at all? Do girls ever troll guys like this?
I don't know. I haven't, but like, I always am so curious about the other side of the coin,
Mm-hmm.
Like I can tell you my experience with men and them being a little weird and, but there's also amazing people out there. So, but I want to know, like, if men get this kind of craziness from women. I mean, It has to be. And I'd love a podcast about that, by the way.
Yeah. If I could find a guy that's had that happen to them, I will definitely have them on the show. Because
I would be so interested.
I wonder if it's like a testosterone thing or a male thing versus a female thing. But then you're going to have people of both genders that do whatever they're going to do. So I can't think it's exclusive to men, but I think the majority of it might be male.
Yeah, and we find out that's completely wrong.
Right.
They're like, oh no, the women are just aggressive.
Well, but that could be true. I think women are more likely to just not say anything for a long time. Like they're more likely to watch quietly in the background where you don't know that they're stalking you. And then you find out and you're like, oh, that would have been good to know 4 months ago while you were looking up my entire life history.
We're sneakier. That's all.
Well, you're more cautious and you're more on the intellectual side of wanting answers as opposed to guys who are more primal and physical, I think.
Yeah, guys want answers now.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm cool. I can wait a year and then I will pounce on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about your thoughts or how you feel about anything, but let's get married because you have a pretty picture.
Because I really like that still photo of you not even looking at me.
Well, because
Okay,
you're
cool.
graceful.
I'm grateful. If any of my closest friends out there know me, that's not me. Like, honestly, I trip over my own feet like daily and have a bruise like on my face from something. I don't know where I got it.
Yeah.
And not the epitome of grace over here.
Well, unless you're on stage, then you're usually pretty focused. But if it's just general life, yeah, I mean, you'll bump into a wall and as normal course of action, even though you've walked that hallway 50 times a day.
And it's weird how the walls move. I don't know what's happening, but I feel like I'm in the labyrinth. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I do the same thing. I try to think about the perspective of the other person. That's something I really try to focus on in life. I'm not the best at it, but I try to think of the other end of the experience. And I just can't. I'm a fairly shy person anyway. I really haven't dated a whole lot. I pretty much keep to myself and I just put my art out there. But I can't understand the mentality of she's going to want me because I saw her picture and I think she's hot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get where you think that's going to go, especially if you're not local to their area.
Right. I mean, honestly, how you live in another country very far away and you're asking to go on a date with me. Whenever you get over to Seattle, man.
Yeah.
If I'm single at that time, it doesn't make sense. So,
no, it really doesn't. And it wasn't even with the guy from India. It wasn't even a kind of like a polite request. It was almost like, I expect that this is going to happen, was the feeling that I got from it. And I really wish I'd have kept the emails. I deleted them and blocked the people, that guy. I really wish I would have kept him because if I would have known we were doing this show, of course I would have read them. But that was the gist of it.
Crazy. Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, I've always said I don't understand people, but this is just getting to a whole, is it that we can hide so easily behind these digital identities that people feel bold enough to reach out, not expecting that you'll go out with them, but maybe you'll show them a topless picture or something?
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I don't even send those.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I mean, it's just gotten crazy. I mean, honestly, and I did not grow up in this age, in this generation of, cell phones. And I remember the first microwave came out. I remember, the first computer.
Right.
So, I mean, not giving away my age, of course.
No,
but,
well, I mean, you read it in an encyclopedia.
Oh, I remember the encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias, yeah. But, I had my friend Charlie came on the show earlier this year, and we were talking about when we were in high school, and I think it was our junior year, Print Shop had just come out. And it was like the first year our school had computers. And it was the coolest thing in the world to have Print Shop. Because you could pick these pre-designed things and print them out, and it was the greatest thing in the world. And now you can 3D print yourself an entire China set. I
know. It's crazy how much technology's evolved a lot. And so then, so people it's easier for them to be more bold instead of having to be face to face. When you're face to face with somebody in a grocery store and they come up to you and say, "Hey, would you like to go out sometime?" That rarely happens anymore. People do not meet anywhere anymore unless it's on a dating app or through a computer. Yeah, absolutely. It's very difficult anymore.
Or here just at a random bar because we have a million bars. But it's interesting how I think the technology, I think the first thing that really affected people was just convenience. Like the ability to go into a place like 7-Eleven and just get something right away instead of having to go to a restaurant and wait for it. And then fast food came along and people just started developing this level of impatience that if you don't have it immediately, you need to complain because this is an injustice. They're ripping off your time. And I think it just has escalated now to the point where this entitlement society that we live in has just gone to the hilt now of invading people's personal space and just expecting that, because I saw your picture, you're going to go out with me, or I know you don't know me, but marry me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because I'm clearly a class act.
True. I have a dowry.
That's right. So
I
who
will
did you
give
say
your
yes
water
to?
buffalo.
Are you waiting on the chickens, or did you say yes to someone already?
I'm waiting for more than just chickens and water buffalo at this point. I'm like, oh, I gotta have more than that. What do we got? We got gold. What do we got?
That's true. Yeah, there's jewels and rubies and diamonds and all kinds of things. Maybe a blender.
Oh, I don't have a good blender. If that and sold, if he offers that.
Maybe he'll buy you one of those carport where they just you put in your credit card and it dispenses a brand new car.
That would be so cool.
Those are crazy. Now, talk about instant gratification, right?
I know.
You literally walk up to this thing. You don't have to talk to a salesperson at all. And the machine does all the work. It brings the car down for you and you paid for it and you get in and drive it away.
I really want to go visit one of those. I
think it would be neat, but I just can't imagine. I can't imagine myself doing that. I don't know. That just seems weird to me.
That's going to be the future, That's the only way you're going to be able to buy a car.
Probably. Well, I mean, it would be nice to get away from that used car salesman mentality of, I'm your best buddy. And man, I really had to go to the hill for this one for you, but I think the boss is going to be okay with it and all that crap they fill your head with to get their commission.
Well, the last time I bought a car was a couple of years ago, and I was there for 6 hours.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It took me an hour to pick out my car, and then the rest of it was just waiting and waiting and waiting for the finance guy, because the poor guy was the only one there, and it was a really busy day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, this is so painful. I was like, oh my God.
The last time I bought a car was in 2003, and I went to a, quote, no hassle lot.
Oh boy.
And it was in Arizona. And, it was immediately that, I'm just walking up and down, looking at the different cars they have. And immediately like 3 salesmen come rushing over. And then you see 2 throw their arms up in the air because the other guy got to me first. And I thought, that kind of seems like I've been hassled already.
I mean, those poor guys are commission and they don't get paid that much base. And so then they're all commission. And so they have the opportunity to make a lot of money or not at all.
And I get that. But if you're going to declare yourself a no hassle lot to attract customers, then you can't really hassle people if you want to maintain customers.
Right.
So I go through the whole thing. He does his pitch. He goes to his boss to get me, another $500 off of the car. And I was excited because it was the first car I ever bought and my van was dying. I mean, I didn't even know if I was going to make it home. And and so we do the deal and I go to the finance guy and he asked me if I want the warranty and I said no. Then he talks about a couple other things. Then he asked me again about the warranty. And I said, I've already said no. And then we go over a couple more things. And then he asked me for a third time about the warranty. And I thought, you're probably told that you have to hit that 3 times. But if someone's told you that they're not interested, then they're just going to shut you down. So all you're going to do is annoy them by continuing to ask. And
I know.
I've said no to this twice already. If you bring it up again, I walk. And he's like, I'm sorry, I get it. And then he did it again 4 times. And I said, well, we're done. And I got up and I walked away and I stopped by the salesman's office because I needed to get my van back. And I said, I want my keys. And he went, what happened? And I told him, and I said, that's unacceptable. I've told him 4 times, you guys don't have any respect for your customers. I don't want to give you my money. I'll go somewhere else and buy a car. And then they ended up knocking like another $1,000 off of it or something. And that's not what I was going for. But at that point I was like, I don't know if my van's going to make it to another car lot.
Oh God.
Or I'm probably going to have to go through this again anyway.
Oh man.
So I went ahead and bought the car, but it's like, where did we stop listening to the needs of the other person of the conversation? When did we stop respecting people, especially people we don't even know? And I know that guys have been hitting on girls and being ridiculous since the beginning of time, but it just seems so much more escalated now because we can do it without any identity and we can do it without being in front of the person so they can't slap us.
Yes. And honestly, women, and I can't speak for every woman, but I like a man who actually can come up to me, like approach me in person and actually have a conversation with them and have a brain. And I don't want somebody who's going to be like, oh, guy, you're so cute, and just be an idiot. I actually appreciate you guys being gentlemen and opening the door. And, if I'm walking towards the door, I don't want to open that damn thing by myself. It looks heavy. So Open the door.
If you go out of the, the Aria Hotel and you're walking towards the Bellagio, those doors are incredibly heavy. And so there's always some like really tiny petite girl that's trying to open the door and they can't get in because they're stupid heavy. So I always kind of like, let me get that for you. And I'm, because I know how heavy they are. In fact, that happened yesterday on my walk. But yeah, it's a fine line for men nowadays because chivalry is appreciated by some people. But then when the women's lib movement started, it was like,
exactly.
I'll get my own door.
I'll get my own door. I am offended that you would think I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. So some women do have that extreme in them. It's like, what do I do? Am I going to get slapped?
But I think for me, it's so inbred into me that, and it's not just for women. I mean, if there's a guy, I don't mind holding the door open for whoever might be behind me. Mm-hmm. My record, though, is 38 people, I think. I held the door open at one of the hotels when I was on my walk. And 38 people walked through that door. And not one of them said, no, you go ahead.
No, and I always thank the person that opens the door for me. And, I remember my manners that my mother taught me. And when I'm at work and I'm entering the main building, those doors are incredibly heavy too. And if somebody's behind me and I can see them coming, I'll hold the door for them. Right. Whether it's a woman or a man, I don't care. Mm-hmm. A toddler, whatever. Would it just be weird for a toddler?
Why? Yeah, it's like, why is a toddler going into your work?
Why is a toddler, a dog, a random raccoon? Right. I don't care. Right. So like, come on in, pal.
So I don't know what it's like to work at your raccoon-infested office, but of those 38 people, guess how many said thank you?
No, none.
6.
That's not good.
6 whole people. And it just made me so sad. Not that I need to be thanked. It's not a matter of that. It was more a matter of what happened to the polite, respectful society that I grew up in. And I mean, I grew up in Detroit, just outside of the city. But even there, people knew how to be respectful. And even though there was like a lot of gangs and whatever, the gangs were less respectful, while they're beating the crap out of you. They're not, I'm sorry, like, I had to do this. Whoa,
there's a lady walking by.
Right, yeah. Let me get that door for you.
Hold on, let me get the door. All right, continue. She's gone.
But is it something that just kind of fell off and I didn't notice it? Or has this gradually declined over years? Like you interact with a lot more people than I do. What is your thought?
No, I think it's just that it's gradually changed and then it's gotten worse very quickly, I think, the last 10 years.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And maybe it is technology. Maybe it's that sense of entitlement that I think was caused by some of these things. But I can't treat someone that way. I mean, I've made mistakes. I've not always been the most appropriate person in my life. But I've really tried, for the most part, to be respectful of people. Mm-hmm. Especially people I don't know. It's one thing if we're buddies and, we're joking back and forth and somebody kind of crosses a line, that happens. But in general, I really try to be respectful. And I just don't understand. Like when I walk down the strip, I see these guys and their jaw will just drop open if a woman's got a big chest and she walks by. It's just so obvious about, the way that they're treating her. And of course, if the woman notices, she just kind of ducks her head down and speeds off as quickly as she can to get away from the guy because it's just so, I don't understand.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, what is it about men that if they see a woman who's attractive, their brain stops functioning and they think it's okay to act like that?
I don't know, but we appreciate if you actually say, hi, how are you? You know what I mean? Not like, oh my God.
Yeah. If you have to say eyes up here,
with
buddy.
That shake, whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Is it something that because you've kind of had a lot of experiences over your life, even in your jobs and things where customers have kind of been that way and tried to not force themselves on you, but, kind of nuzzle up to you a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I have. To the point where it was, I had to get the physicians involved and I was hiding in offices.
Wow. That's horrible.
I know. Yeah, I did have one patient come in who was completely drunk. And I was like, wait, did you drive here?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And then, he tried to like jump on top of me. So
Wow.
I had to go in and get one of the physicians to kind of like restrain him. It was very bad.
And how long did you guys date after that?
It was a couple of years. Almost married.
So it's worth it. Yeah. But I mean, it's bad enough to do that to a stranger on the street, but to go to somebody's workplace, you should be able to feel safe at your workplace. That's your job. That's your profession. You shouldn't have to, you really shouldn't have to deal with it anywhere. There's no excuse for it anywhere you go. But your place of work, that's kind of a sacred thing. Yeah, no, I could not believe. And he was really saying some really terrible things. I was just like, oh my God, how do I get out of this? Yeah.
I was the manager of the place, and I'm just like, I'm stuck. What do I do?
Right.
And then I put him in his exam room, and I walked away, and then he kept coming out and trying to be terrible to me. And I was like, okay, that's it.
And I suppose it's illegal to just inject him with Thorazine or something.
I tried. He was a moving target.
Yeah.
He was too fast.
Yeah. He's like, you just say, you'll like this so much better. Give me a minute. I'm just going to give you this stuff and you're going to be in heaven and it's going to be so great. And then next thing he knows, he wakes up in a police station.
I know. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
When I worked at 7-Eleven, I was threatened many times. I was stabbed. I was maced. Tons of threats against my life. And, you do what you do. And incidentally, when I left that store, this was right around the time that the show Cops came out on the air. And a couple months after I left that store, they did the Denver show. And I think it was 11 times they passed by my store. Yeah.
That's so sad.
It was crazy because it was not the best area of Denver. I don't know what it's like now, but at the time it was not the best. And I spent far more time writing police reports than I ever did doing any work, restocking or cleaning or anything in that store.
Oh, that's sad.
But it's, it's your place of work. It's not personal when you have an interaction with a customer, but if it's somebody who's aggressive or has already in a bad mood or they have an issue, they don't get what they want. They do take it personally and then you become the target of it. But you're working in a doctor's office. You're trying to help people heal and feel better. And you're not even safe there.
Mm-mm.
Well, how hard was it for you to go into work the next day after that happened?
Well, the funny thing was I came in the next day and then the same guy came in with a bunch of flowers and it was apologizing. And I was like, oh my God, it was just odd.
Because he's the first person you want to see after a day like that.
Exactly. And I was like, no, this is no good. Yeah. And so my doctor came out and told him that he was no longer allowed to come back ever again, which was nice. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Well, that probably put a dent in your relationship.
And it was hard being engaged. So,
yeah, it's hard to marry someone you have a restraining order against.
It's so hard because you're on separate sides of, the courthouse.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess you could video conference in the wedding now. They could do it from there.
We did a Skype wedding.
There you go. My cousin actually did that. She did. It was a Facebook Live event. And I thought that's brilliant because she lives in Florida. And of course, we all couldn't get down there.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, so they just took this little space and they did the ceremony and they had somebody just blasting it over Facebook Live. And I thought, that is so cool because growing up, of course, we didn't have these cool tools that we do now. And if you couldn't make the wedding, the best you would hope for would be an 8mm version of it that was transferred to VHS that you'd get like 4 years later,
Yeah, right. No, I actually still have VHS tapes, sadly.
I love that you do, though. Well, you're kind of a vintage person anyway, though.
I'm so vintage. All of me is vintage.
You really, except those marriage proposals.
Yeah, those are new.
But so, how does this make you feel? Like, do you? And I talked to you about this the other day. I said, "Well, do you want me to take the picture down? Because I will. I'm not going to sacrifice, promoting the podcast, or I'll sacrifice promoting the podcast if it prevents you from going through this stuff." And I've kind of gone back and forth now with the idea of not posting a picture of the guest and just posting the show logo with the name of the guest written on it. It doesn't look as good, but I don't want to put my guests at jeopardy or people feel like they can't come on the show because they're going to get accosted like this.
No, I don't mind. It's fine, honestly. And they have to go through so many channels to even get to me as a live person. It's not like they're going to show up at my home,
Right.
So honestly, it's easy to hide behind a computer these days. It's very difficult to find that person face to face. And then all I can do, which is very easy, is I hit the block button.
Mm-hmm.
Great little feature.
It is.
So
it really is. And I find that I'm using that so often now. The number of telemarketing calls I get, even though I'm on the do not call list.
Yeah.
I think I blocked 6 numbers yesterday alone.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. And because I have a Phoenix number, I never changed it when I moved to LA or to Vegas. The majority of them call from the Phoenix area because they think that people are likely to pick up local calls. The businesses might not even be in Phoenix, but they're using a Phoenix list of telephone numbers to as their dial out. It's just ridiculous. And I don't understand at all the world we live in today.
I know. And we sound like our parents at this point. I don't know, those get off my lawn,
Yeah, I should be on the porch in a rocking chair drinking some sarsaparilla and spinning yarns of days gone by.
And on your front porch with the hose with the kids, get off my lawn, and spraying them down.
Right.
I just mowed that.
And a sign that says keep trucking.
Keep trucking. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just I is there a legal way to become agoraphobic? Because I kind of don't want to leave the house anymore.
Agoraphobic. Just call your doctor and say, hey, I need a statement from you saying I'm agoraphobic and I'm a total shut-in.
Right.
Can't leave the house. It's like, great.
Except for my walks down the strip.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because those have to. So that's like my that'll be my medicine that I have to get out there and walk down the strip once or twice a week to try and force myself out of agoraphobia.
That's your therapy.
Yeah, I don't really have any fears. I'm hydrophobic because I almost drowned when I was somewhat young. So I'm really not a fan of water that doesn't have a bottom I can stand on and still breathe. But other than that, I don't really have any other fears except this thing I'm trying to grow with agoraphobia.
Mine is lost in space. I just don't want to ever have that opportunity to be lost in space.
Oh, not the show, to actually be lost in space.
Yeah, I don't want to be lost in space.
Do you think that could happen?
I don't, everybody says, I'm pretty sure you're okay. I'm like, you know what? And when I do get lost in space, I'm coming after you when I die. Well, because you said that's not a possibility. And here I am lost in space going, oh, man.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know
dirty liars.
Who you're going to haunt before you die so that you don't have to waste your time figuring it out later. Because the afterlife can only go on forever. But they're only going to be alive for so long. Yeah. So can you not watch the movie Gravity?
Oh, no. Any of those movies, Martian, Gravity, any of those things, I was like not cool with. I was like, nah, man. See? Yeah. This can happen to anybody.
Say if your fear really is being lost in space, I would say Gravity is probably the worst movie that you could watch.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
But I will say, aside from that heart-gripping fear of yours, the movie itself is great. I loved the movie. I loved the music. The soundtrack was phenomenal. I don't know if he got nominated or won an award for that, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So even if you just want to listen to the music and not think about somebody drifting off helplessly into space.
To that lovely song.
Right, yeah.
The lovely score.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was, I want to say Stephen Price, I think was his name that did it.
I'm surprised it wasn't Hans. He does everything.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
God.
He was just here doing...
Really?
Cirque du Soleil did their One Drop event. And my friend Martin, he's the violinist over at Mystere, and he had volunteered to be part of it. And he ended up playing with Hans on stage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really was. He's a fantastic violinist and very talented composer as well. And it was kind of, one of those bucket list things that you never think that is ever going to happen. And he volunteered, he offered his services, and it just came together, and he ended up playing live with Hans, which that's amazing. What's like your dream bucket list item that you think may never happen?
Ooh. I would love to, I'd love to go to Greece, and I would love to go to London just to kind of hang around Piccadilly Street and just kind of be a total tourist. And so I really want to make that happen, but I'm so busy with like work and, trying to get it all together.
And marriage proposals. But you can meet a guy from London who might fly you over for a date.
Right.
I don't know that I would trust that, but I would definitely
My
bring a
name's
friend.
Jack. Last name Ripper. Cool.
Yeah. You know, they
Totally
think,
normal.
they think they solved the Jack the Ripper thing finally.
Yeah, it only took them, 200 years, but that's great.
Yeah. And maybe this is the brighter side of technology, right? Because we talked about how dark it's making things, but maybe some of this is the brighter side. Like they think they may have located Amelia Earhart now, which was a mystery that's been going on for years. They think they solved the Jack the Ripper thing. They're still up in the air on Kennedy, which, who knows, but they're starting to find a lot of answers to things that we didn't have before.
Due to technology.
Yeah. And so I'm like, it's not a totally bad thing. I depend on technology to get music out there in my books, but
me too.
Yeah.
I'm a hardware program manager. So
exactly. And especially in the medical profession, obviously, the equipment is a huge part of what you do.
Right.
It's really hard to take an X-ray with a candle.
Oh, I've tried that. It's really tough.
Yeah. Because people aren't as see-through as it would be nice as if they were.
I know your arm's broken, sir, but stop moving. I'm lighting the candle again.
Right. Yeah. I just got to get the angle just right and wait till the flame is at its peak. Yeah. I don't know how they did that in the old days. There was a lot of things that were just, I've read about a lot of the medical experiments and things as we were trying to figure out how the body works and how we could use different tools and medicines. And all I can say is if I had a past life during that time, I'm really glad I don't remember it.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. The number of lobotomies alone that they did for people that, what would now be considered like a common fetish was considered a brain malfunction, and they would do lobotomies on people to see if it would cure them of whatever thing that they were attracted to. And
a lot of that was depression.
Yeah, a lot of depression.
People were depressed, and they would just drill a hole in their frontal lobe.
Right.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the list of things that were considered factors of depression were ridiculous. Like likes to read a lot, and I'm like, so that's a bad thing that you like to read.
Yep, because you're shut in and you just want a book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was almost anything that wasn't what was the perceived expectation of what someone's life should be. If you teetered off of that even the slightest bit, then you were either clinically depressed or there was something mentally wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're a voracious reader. Get in the chair. We're going to take care of that. No one should. That's just wrong. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. A lot of shock treatment. And now that this a lot of the stuff is surfacing that they've when they've discovered bodies in the pits behind like mental institutions and things like that, and they've done the testing on them and they've kind of found out, well, this person was electrocuted or this person has a hole in the frontal lobe of their skull, so they were obviously lobotomized. And I mean, wow, so many lives have been wasted in the pursuit of trying to understand something we don't understand at all.
I know. I mean, technology has definitely come a long way in a positive way for us to help more people. Mm-hmm. And it's still going. I don't even know how it's going to be in another 20 years. It's going to be insane. Yeah. I mean, now that they, I remember Kevin Smith, when he wrote Clerks, he did this whole skit about the flying car. And I think Clerks was like mid to late 90s, I think, somewhere in there. Right. And now we have them. They're not available for consumer use yet, but they exist. And I have a hard enough time dealing with traffic horizontally, let alone vertically. I don't know how you're going to regulate that. Well, and it's funny because we have drones out here now everywhere. Yeah. Have you seen them out where you're at? I have. One of the parks that is near me is Cornerstone Park, and it's got this lovely little lake. And a lot of ducks and stuff. And you can just do, a walk around the lake, and really peaceful little place. And I was out there one night and somebody was taking footage of the park, and it was just this silent light that was flying around. And you kind of feel like no matter where it is and no matter where you are, it's watching you. It's just the creepiest thing. And I think that that's going to be huge for the movie industry, because instead of having to fly over and take shots, you just send your drone up and remote control. Right. Well, I thought about that, but then take that a step further and think of companies like National Geographic, who are out there shooting nature films in dangerous areas. Right. Where, Serengeti. People, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some of the best footage I've ever seen has come from the Serengeti. And, now with the drones, they can really zoom in on the action. No one's putting themselves at risk.
and this footage is going to be much better, and it's not going to be shaky and all that. I'm really expecting a lot to come out of nature research and things from the drones.
Right.
And they're getting affordable now, even for consumer use.
For $40, you can get a drone.
Right. But if we circle that back to our initial topic, now what does that mean for privacy?
There's no privacy.
I kind of
keep
feel
your
like
blinds
that's true.
closed, folks.
Yeah, I really kind of feel like that's true. I think that even blinds, like if there's a pencil lead crack in between the two blinds, like there's a camera that will be able to get in between that crack and find out what you're doing in your room. I'm almost feeling that paranoid about it. But then there's the other side where everybody just assumes that they're the most important thing in the world. So of course somebody must be watching them.
Somebody wants to know what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm playing Farmville. So, I mean, that is my exciting life over here.
Right. Now, in my defense, when I was at Cornerstone Park that night, I literally was the only other person at the park. It was me and the guy that was controlling the drone. So I kind of felt isolated. If there were 30 other people there, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know when it's looking at me or when it might be getting me in the shot because I'm walking the loop around the lake. But I wouldn't have felt so isolated had there been other people there. But being that I was by myself, I'm like, that thing can film me from anywhere in the park. So there's really nowhere to hide here. Not that I was doing anything that couldn't be filmed, but at the same point, it's like, I'm just out here for a peaceful little private walk. I'm not here to be, in your video. So the whole thing was just kind of weird. And I don't doubt that men along this line of violating women's privacy, I don't doubt that they're utilizing that to find, say, sunbathers or, see if they can see in the window when someone's changing their clothes or, whatever little thing that they get off on. I'm certain that it's already being used for that and will probably just increase, especially with like teenage boys who are curious when they're hitting puberty. I just can't see this being something that secures people's privacy.
I know. And then nowadays you don't need to be, unless you're shooting a movie or a whatever, where you have to blur people's faces out without their permission to film them. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's just for personal use, you don't have to have the permission to film them.
Exactly.
You're just taking a picture or taking a video for a home movie or whatever. So it's not like you need that permission.
Right. And I think about, I've heard stories about guys who will like put their phone on a selfie stick and lower it and try and see up a woman's skirt and stuff like that.
I've seen that so often out here, like so often.
I'm sure that happens on the Strip a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
I would think. But it's like there's so many people here. Why would you try and get away with? Why would you do that anyway?
Yeah, it's stupid.
It really is. It really is. And it just makes me sad. I think that people should be able to feel safe, not just in their own home, but just going outside. I mean, there's enough dangers with the psychopaths and things that we have, all the school and church shootings and everything that's happened over the last few years. And there's enough of an element of danger in the world already. But when you feel like you have no privacy, even in your own home, that's as sad as it's going to get, I think.
Yeah.
I can't imagine much worse than that. Like if you're in your home and I know that some landlords have done that too, and tenants have sued them when they found that they've put cameras in the vents, and things like that to watch their tenants, or, if they, try to film them changing clothes or in the shower or whatever. I know that kind of stuff has gone on. So how can you really feel safe anywhere?
Yeah, because your home should be your sanctuary.
It should.
Mm-hmm.
It should. And then if you have a job, that should be also a sanctuary where at least you feel like you're safe from the outside world, Correct. Except for certain jobs where you kind of expect it. If you're a police officer, a firefighter, if you're in a job where your job is to potentially be in danger, that's different. But if you're working in a doctor's office or you're working at 7-Eleven, and you just shouldn't have to, we shouldn't live in a world where you have to worry about those things.
Right.
And having been a victim of that a couple of times myself, it really was hard. I remember, I think I got stabbed first and then maced like a week later. And I remember it was really, really hard to go in after the macing incident. That was really traumatic.
I had been done a long time before that. I'm good. Let's, maybe work it,
Yeah.
Play like a bubble wrap company or
Right.
something.
Maybe I can go be like a nondescript dishwasher in a restaurant where I never see a customer or something.
Right. No. Yep. Where there's locks on the doors.
Right. Yeah. And, I've certainly been in the public eye. I mean, I'm not like a celebrity or anything, but I've certainly been recognized on the street. I was just telling somebody yesterday, when I worked at a music store in Colorado, we did a television commercial for a radio station, which in and of itself is kind of ironic. But I had really big hair back then. And
that's right.
When I would go out after that commercial aired, I would go to the bank or the grocery store. Like, people would recognize me because of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And, that when people kind of feel like they've connected with you because they've seen something you've done, maybe you've been in a movie or a commercial or something like that, and they feel like they have a connection to you, even though they have no idea who you are as a person.
Nobody recognizes me. I'm not important. So.
Well, you've hidden yourself away in a doctor's office,
For a long time I did, yeah.
Right, yeah. But there is a risk when people kind of feel like they have some kind of familiarity, and that sort of, not that I was a celebrity, but that syndrome kicks in where they feel like they have the right to come up and start a conversation with you because there's like a familiarity. And, I think about people that are on, big movies or television shows, and, some of those people really can't go out and get things for themselves anymore because it's going to take them 4 hours to get home when they just went out for, a sandwich.
Which is also kind of cool that they have technology now, because you can order, and you don't ever have to leave the house if you don't want to.
That's true.
You can bank online, you can order Uber Eats, Grubhub, and you can order your groceries online, have it delivered. So you can even see the doctor online.
That's true. And that's really going to help with my agoraphobia.
Right. This is going to be so positive for you.
Yeah, it plays
forward.
Right into it. No more social
It plays right into.
I'm done.
Nope. You're done. You're good.
Yeah. But I mean, even like when you get these messages on Instagram and stuff, do you feel like they've intruded on your life, even though it's easy to block them and dismiss them or whatever? But do you kind of feel like you shouldn't have to be bothered with that kind of stuff?
It didn't really bother me. I was kind of amused by it. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, oh boy, here comes another one.
Yeah.
And I was very polite to everybody, and I said, oh, okay, And then I did have a couple professional actors in the indie movie industry reach out to me and ask to follow me since then. And I thought, there were some positive things about this as well.
Sure, yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is great. Yeah, of course. And so talked to a couple of those people too.
Yeah. And, unless they approach you and send you that kind of message, I mean, it's fine if somebody who's maybe not in the business wants to follow you because they think that you might be interesting or whatever. And if they don't like it, they can always unfollow you. And that's fine because they haven't approached you with some kind of agenda that will hopefully eventually lead to a naked picture or sex or whatever they're trying to go for.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. And you took it way better than I did, because when that happened, I was just annoyed. But I think,
I think when you told me, I started laughing.
You did.
I was like, "What is going on?"
But I think it's that protective thing for me, because I'm very protective of my friends. But also,
right,
like, I put you in that position by having you on my show, and I feel, I guess, a little bit
responsible.
Yeah, I feel responsible.
Yeah,
even though I'm
worry.
I'm not,
Yeah, no, don't worry. I mean, I'm on social media platforms, so I'm already putting myself out there as it is. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, so it's not like I'm in hiding.
Well, no, that's true. And your accounts aren't private, but I kind of feel like I pricked your finger and then, held it over the ocean so that a drop of blood would go in the water and a shark 8 miles away could smell it and came rushing over.
That is a crazy analogy, but I liked it.
It really
wow.
is. And it's a little bit extreme.
Come get my friend, eat her.
Right, yeah. And bring me the
Make
dowry.
sure it's a great white, though. She only wants to be eaten by a great white.
Yeah, okay. That's right. You're specific in your death approach.
I'm very specific. Yep.
Yeah. But I kind of do feel responsible, because if you hadn't come on the show, then that stuff wouldn't be happening. And I also don't want any of my future guests to not want to come on the show because these kind of things happen.
Well, it was very non-threatening to me, and it was didn't make me uncomfortable. Okay. I mean, honestly, these people did not make me uncomfortable. I've had much worse. And I did it all by myself.
Well, yeah, that's fair, I guess. Yeah, for sure. But you know me, and of course I'm going to feel that way because I'm protective of people, and I really like to put more joy into people than fear. So, I'm glad. And you and I have this wonderful ability to balance each other out. Like, when you're freaking out, I can calm you down. And when I'm freaking out, you can calm me down, and we can make each other feel better about whatever crazy situation that we're going through. And I would have expected that I would have needed to calm you down, but it really was the opposite in this case.
It really was. I was just laughing, and you're like, no. I'm like, dude, it's fine.
Yeah. And
I have people worse than this waiting in line to, annoy me.
Well, yeah.
Pick a number.
That's true. And flowers to be delivered. But I think that the thing was that to me that was just so offsetting at first was, how stupid are you that you're hitting on somebody and you're not even taking a minute to figure out who they are so that you even know how to approach them. Because if they would have taken even a minute to read the caption of the picture, to understand that you're someone who's tagged in the picture and you're not the person who's posting the picture, and that when you look at that person's profile, there's pictures of 40 other people, why would I think that you're the owner of that page when there's clearly all these other people?
Yeah, just have some intelligence, use it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you really want to impress somebody, like you said, intelligence is very sexy.
It is. I totally think it is. Yeah.
Because looks are great. There has to be some kind of physical or chemical attraction. I get that. But at the same point, it's like, what's the long term of something if there isn't an intellectual connection, if there isn't something to talk about? Because looks are going to fade. We're all going to get older. We're all going to get wrinklier. And there's got to be more than that.
I completely agree. I think that you obviously are going to look at somebody and say, oh, she's beautiful, or he's so handsome. Yeah, I want to get to know him. Let's build on that. So it has to be some kind of an attraction. But if there's absolutely no substance and you're talking to a box of cornflakes, you're like, okay, this is not going to, okay, it was nice to meet you. Bye. But then, but your looks change.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do, but I've heard
nobody's going to look the same.
Maybe it's an immaturity thing, but I've heard so many girls just not care even how the guy treats them or what he says to them or about them because he's so cute, though.
But that'll change. And you know what? That was me at 25, 26 years old, dating the box of cornflakes because it looks good on the outside.
Right.
And
that's kind of, that's a little bit older than I would think because, if women, and granted, everyone's an individual, but in general, if women mature faster than men, then that would make men stupid right up until about 35?
Yeah, you guys are idiots. But yeah. But yeah, no, now I of course I'm attracted to somebody who's good looking.
Right.
But my idea of good looking is, not everybody else's. So, I have different tastes.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the man who's kind of strong, like the personality strong.
Right. Yeah.
And I like him to know what he wants. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what you want, I can't help you. And I'm certainly not going to parent you. And I can't, I don't need another kid. I'm good with one.
Right.
So.
And, we talked about Southern California. We talked about India because those are just the two examples of the places that these people came from, at least that approached me. But it's really not a locational thing because it's just a global thing. You can find people from all over the world that are going to be that way. So it's not, specific to India or Southern California by any means. It's really just a problem, I think, with where we are in our society today.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't think I'll ever be able to understand the mentality of people that take that approach. I just, I know people do things different from me and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with the different things they do. But I don't know, that kind of just crosses the line between, it wasn't a polite introduction. It was more just intrusion and an expectation that's kind of impossible to meet right off the bat.
I'm glad I don't think you showed me that one, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I figured.
I'd have been like, okay.
Yeah. Well, because at some point it just becomes like, all right, there's, we know where this is going. There's no need to keep sharing this back and forth because it's just repeating the same thing, just different people in different ways, But,
right,
but I'm excited for your future. I think that you're going to find someone really, really soon.
Thank you.
Apparently.
I'm sure he was grateful. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Every time they're like, I'm like, I'm a guy, then they just vanish. I should just start with that. And then if they keep talking to me, then I know it wasn't about your picture. But what's going to be really interesting is to see if more because I don't those people obviously didn't even listen to the show because there wasn't enough time from the time that I posted it to the time that at least the first one wrote in. There's no way he had time to listen to the entire show. So I suspect, and considering my experiment last night of less than 3 seconds it took for people to start liking the photo.
Yep,
it's definitely not about them connecting with you or anything other than just, oh my God, instant reaction to a picture.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's what you get for being hot, I suppose.
It's so hard. So hard.
The burdens that
me and my
bear.
hotness.
You and your eye candy.
Yeah, me and my eye candy.
Yeah. No, it's just crazy. But I appreciate you coming back on the show to talk about it because I really wanted to see what you thought and have people kind of get a little bit of perspective of what it's like to even just get a little bit of social media attention for those that aren't a little more of a target. And, all I can say is let's just be better people.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, if you guys out there want to approach a woman and just do it in the class and do it a little bit, get your swag back, guys.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, be respectful.
This is not the way to do it.
I think anyone who's worth getting would be someone who's wanting someone to come with a respectful approach. Because it's kind of like I used to joke about, crazy pickup lines because I just think they're funny. But then I started thinking about
I still do crazy pickup lines.
Do you?
But because it's funny.
But if someone,
oh sure,
if you were a guy and you were at a bar and you approached somebody and you gave them some cheesy pickup line, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're the greatest thing in the world!" Like, how could you want to, pursue getting to know that person? Wouldn't that just be an immediate turnoff?
No, I think it used to be before the technology took over. But like being nowadays, walking up to a guy and saying, "Hey, is your mom a jewel thief? Because, your eyes look like jewels and they were stolen or something." I mean, I think that would be, you may use that all, tweak it because it didn't sound right. But,
right.
Yeah, I think I would probably die. I think he would laugh if I laid that on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would just be like, oh, thank God he didn't say you're hot,
right.
By texting me next to me at the bar,
Right. I remember when, there's a lot of, even though prostitution is illegal in Clark County, which encompasses all of Henderson and Las Vegas, there's still a lot of escorts, we'll call them, on the Strip. And I remember one night I was walking down, it was in the summer, so I had a sleeveless shirt on, and there was a girl that was on the other side of the walkway, and she yelled out to me, "Hey, nice tats," because I have tattoos on both sides of my arms. And I said, "Oh, thanks." She goes, "Come check out mine. I just got it today." And I'm like, okay. So I walk over there and she had these two little birds on her shoulder and the coloring was really good. It was a really nice job. And so I said, "Oh, that's really good. Did you just get that done?" And she said, "Yeah, a couple hours ago." And I said, "Wow, they did a really good job. I hope the, color and everything holds up." And she looks at me. She's like, "Yeah, thanks. Are we going to fuck or what?" And I thought,
oh, no way.
I kind of like her direct approach though. Like, I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. So let's just, are we going to make it a deal here or not? And I'm like, that's kind of cool in a way, but in another way, I was a little put off by it because it was just so unexpected. Because most of them, they play a little game like,
forward.
"Oh, you bumped into me and I spilled my drink all over my shirt." That kind of cheesy setup and whatever.
Come back to come back with me. I can change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okie doke.
Yeah. Or my favorite, like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going home." "Oh, can I come with you?" "Yes."
Okay, I lost my number. Can I have yours?
Yeah. Was your father a thief? Because he stole the stars and put them in your eyes. Oh.
Yeah, or something like that.
But see, I'm afraid that if I ever used a line like that the girl would be like, "Well, yeah, but he gets out in 4 months. And so what if we want to be together? We're in love." I could just totally see that being the response.
I walk up. Nowadays, I just walk up to him and say, "Hey, I'm out of the psych ward for the next 2 hours. What are you doing?" I have to be back in 2 hours.
There you go.
I have a very small window of opportunity for both of us.
Right.
We should make something happen.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's funny. Well, Sara, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. And I like, hammering out some different points of view on some of these social issues, because I do think that we've gotten just way out of control. I don't expect that 2019 is going to be like living in Laura Ingalls days, but when we've lost the humanity of it all, what's the point? That's kind of where I look at it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go out and try some pickup lines, and I'll let you know what happens.
Good. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know how that
works. Because I'm so aggressive.
You'll find your soulmate in 3 seconds once you walk into a bar with that heavy hitter stuff I gave you.
Well, in the play that I did last year, I didn't have any dialogue, not one word. And I was on the stage the whole time. And we talked about this before, but there was a part at the beginning where I was not a carnival barker, but like I was running a booth at a carnival. And I had to pretend to be hitting on these girls in the audience. And like where I was looking, sometimes it would be girls would be there. Sometimes it would be a guy. Sometimes there would be an empty chair there. And it was so uncomfortable for me because I've never gone to a place and hit on girls before. So it was extremely uncomfortable for me to do that, even to invisible people. I can't imagine me actually going out and walking down the strip and trying to hit on people, even if they were really drunk. I can't imagine me doing that.
No.
It's just,
yeah, you're way too normal.
But no, that's a good thing though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope so.
You're like, wait, was that a yes or no?
Right, yeah. You really didn't answer that. Now I'm worried.
Hold on. No, Scott, I promise you're normal.
Okay. Well, you sounded like you said that with conviction, so I'm just going to go with it. And I think that's a good note to end the show on. So thank you so much for coming back. Can't wait to see who you pick and what the dowry was. Let us know.
Yes.
And
it's like the next thing of The Bachelorette.
Yeah. This is like an ongoing
The rose
series.
ceremony.
Or if you watched, what was it, season 2 of Joe Schmo, they had the pearl necklace ceremony, which is just in and of itself is kind of funny. If you haven't seen the second season of Joe Schmo, it's absolutely hilarious and well worth watching.
I know. I've never heard of this. I need to go look this up in a minute.
Yeah, I've never seen the first season. I should go back and watch that, but it's absolutely hilarious. It's basically a fake game show, and they get 2 contestants on the show to try and see how long they can make them think that this fake game show is real.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And then the idea is at the end, they're going to reveal, oh, this is fake, and you made it to the end, so you win your $1 million or whatever it's going to be. And the whole thing is really, the whole pretext of the show is not them finding somebody to fall in love with on the show. It's whether the show creators can keep the show going before they figure out that it's fake.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, I'm going to go look this up.
It's definitely worth a watch, I will say. But come see us again. Okay. Thank you for not, feeling endangered and taking this so lightheartedly and so much better than I did.
No problem. Thanks for having me back.
You bet. You take care, Sarah.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Bye.